In our current African American literature class, Mr. Logan Scott, we are reading works entitled The Black Arts Movement, 1972 by Larry Neal. And in this, he insists that the motive behind the black aesthetic is the destruction of the whole white thing. The new aesthetic is mostly predicted on an ethics. The question whose vision of the world is finally more meaningful, ours or the white oppressors? So given Neil's perspective, are there any aspects in your living experience that Neil might consider an illustration of the oppressive system that needs to be destroyed?
Well, I cannot speak expressly to what his experience is as a black man, especially in America some 30, 40 odd years ago. But what I can say is the current systems that are in place inside of America today are indeed oppressive, but I don't believe that it's specifically to a race, more as the class of underprivileged poor people as a whole are generally oppressed in the American system, where they have underfunded education systems, where they're unable to get access to resources successfully, and it's just an entire system meant to keep down people who are already hurt.
All right, Mr. Demerick Ross, how are you today?
I'm well.
All right. So, in our class of American literature, we're reading something entitled The Black Arts Movement by Larry Neal, in where he insists the motive behind black aesthetic is a destruction of the white thing. The new aesthetics is mostly predicted on the ethics question, whose vision of the world is finally more meaningful, ours or the white oppressors? So, given Neal's perspective, are there any aspects of your living experience that Neal might consider an illustration of the oppressive system that needs to be destroyed?
I think, I guess, the one that's on the top of my head, I guess, an aspect of my own lived experience that could be illustrative of the oppressive system, I guess, would be my own infatuation with productivity. I think under capitalism, specifically in America, a lot like we're almost rendered as machines, right? Because it's not about what you can do for your people, about what you can do for humanity. It's more so what you can do to make capital. What can you do? How can you produce? And I think that's just illustrative of the oppressive system. My infatuation with being productive, going to college, getting the next degree, getting the next resume notch, getting that, and I think that that's something that would need to be destroyed.
All right, Nahab, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well, and you?
That's great. I'm amazing. In our current class, we are reading topics that range from abolitionists to artists, scholars, and even movement adherents, which they were also passionate about their ideas, that they were willing to die for their beliefs. Are there any ideologies that you yourself are willing to die for?
Well, personally, I feel one of the ones that just come off the top, something that people take for granted is liberty. So liberty to me is like, for example, within the American society, the ability to live without freedom of oppressive restriction by some authority or authority figure. So if I have to be in a society where in certain instances, a lot of people are in societies where they don't have the ability to express themselves or the ability to do certain things because they lack that liberty. That's something we've seen throughout history where people put their life on the line for, and that's something where I'm personally willing to die for. And I feel like we say that a lot, but if you contemplate where you can't express your religious beliefs or you can express certain aspects of your life because authority forces you to not do that or there are restrictions against it, it really puts a hindrance on who you really are. So that's something I'm personally willing to live my life on the line for.
All right, Dorothy, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm amazing. Thank you for asking. So, considering that you are a current student in Dr. Benson's class, I would like for you to compare and contrast your impressions about African American literature before you took the class and now what it's like after you've enrolled and the semester is essentially over.
Before I took Miss Vincent's class, I had never really just read anything African American literature. I didn't even know who W. Du Bois was until I got into college. So having taken her class have definitely woken me up in a sense. Just because it's a lot of literature that I definitely learned, that I've actually read and watched some of the videos. Just kind of like, the Black Arts Movement, the whole birth control thing, just all of it together was really an amazing experience. And to now that I know, it's kind of like I definitely tell my friends, you know, what's really going on. They should definitely take a African American lit class, especially going to a HBCU.
How are you today?
Good.
Could you please state your name and classification?
Yes, Blair Robinson, and I am a transfer sophomore here at Texas Southern.
All right. Considering that you are a current student in Dr. Benson's African American Literature class and had the luxury of taking her this semester, could you explain how you plan to use any of the information you have learned this semester?
Yes, coming into this class, I really didn't know much about African American literature. It was just all of what I learned in history books, and I feel that this class has really expounded my thoughts on the different African American leaders and what they actually stood for beyond the general things like Malcolm X and the Black Arts Power Movement, Larry O'Neill, Martin Luther King, and the different, freedom rights. I know what they stood for and what, who they were in life.